The forms or the purpose of assessment. You will see in your study material, we always distinguish about forms and purpose and types of assessment. I think it will be good if you make yourself some kind of diagram to just distinguish between the three types. But forms and purpose of assessment, we refer to the same thing. The forms of assessment, we look at baseline assessment, diagnostic assessment, formative assessment, and then summative assessment and systematic assessment. So when we look at baseline assessment, this usually takes place at the beginning of a section or a semester or a chapter, and that is just where we want to see what the student's background information about this specific topic is, so that you can plan your teaching activities accordingly. So we just want to find out what do they know, so that we know where to start off when we teach them further. When we look at diagnostic assessment, the word diagnostic, it basically tells us like something like you're going to a doctor. The doctor is asking you questions on what is the problem, why are you feeling, why are you visiting him, what is the problem with your, what problems are you experiencing. So that is the same that you do with diagnostic. So you are basically asking questions and trying to understand what exactly the problems is that the students experience, what they know, what don't they know, to get that information so that that can help you to teach your content further. In the previous video, I did talk about formative assessment and summative assessment. So formative assessment, that is the kind of assessment that we really need to focus on in this day and age. We need to use formative assessment to get regular feedback from the learners, to see what are going on, how much do they understand, what don't they understand, how can I fix it, how can I teach it to them differently, what kind of activities can I give them, so that they can master this content. We must do formative assessment on a daily basis. Formative assessment does not need to be formal assessment. So just the mere fact that you are having a discussion in the class, ask him some informal question, tell them to quickly do a task with their friends, those are all types of formative assessment to get the information to see what the learners understand and what they don't understand. Summative assessment, as I also explained earlier, that focuses more on at the end of a section, but it's really important for us to understand that summative assessment is not only end of the year or end of the term or end of the semester assessment. The moment that you cannot do anything else to change the way that the learners have learned, then that's summative assessment. If you now need to go on to chapter 2 and you cannot keep spending time on chapter 1 anymore, then if you assess chapter 1, then it is summative assessment. Even if it's on the second or third day of the term, it can also be summative assessment. If you don't use the knowledge that you gather or the evidence that you gather from that assessment to change your teaching practice, then it is summative assessment. Systematic assessment, that we use that to see how the learners understand the work or how they reach their outcomes at the end of a phase. For example, at the end of the foundation phase, that they reach all the outcomes and they can then go on to the next senior phase or intermediate phase. At the end of grade 10, they write an exam so that we can see if they are now on a correct standard or right standard to go on to the grades 11 and 12 phase. So that is why where we consolidate the phases. I think one of the most the well-known examples of this is the ANAs that they write, I think, in the end of grade 7 or grade 9, just to show that all the students are on the correct standards. I know that in America they do the CTAs, so just to check that all the learners at the end of the phase have the correct, or on this correct standard.